Hi, everyone. You are listening to Radio Cherry Bombe, and I'm your host, Kerry Diamond, coming to you from Newsstand Studios at Rockefeller Center in New York City. Today's guest is Ham El-Waylly. Ham is a chef, recipe developer, restaurateur, and girl dad, and his first cookbook drops tomorrow. Hello, Home Cooking. Doable dishes for every day. Ham, who is also one of the founders of the Brooklyn restaurant Strange Delight, is part of a New York City culinary power couple. We love our power couples, as he is married to Sohla El-Waylly, who some of you might know from Instagram or her best-selling cookbook, or from her Cherry Bombe cover. Ham joins me to talk about how the TV show Yan Can Cook influenced his career path, meeting and falling in love with Sohla in culinary school, raising his daughter, some recipes you need to try from his book, and why he wants to cook with Miss Rachel and Lady Gaga one day. Stay tuned for our chat. We're busy at Cherry Bombe HQ putting the finishing touches on our annual Jubilee Conference. It's an amazing day of connection and community, and it's taking place on Saturday, April 25th at the Glass House here in New York City. Tickets are on sale right now at cherrybombe.com. If you happen to own a restaurant, bakery, cafe, or coffee shop and plan to attend Jubilee, you should apply for our Business Owner Pass, which we're offering in partnership with Square. You can get discounted Jubilee tickets for yourself and your team members. The deadline is this Wednesday to apply, so don't delay. The application is on cherrybombe.com, and you can find the link in our show notes. Be sure to check out the Cherry Bombe Substack this week at cherrybombesubstack.com. There's lots of free content, including the recipes for Ham's tahini and silken tofu dip from his new book. He talks about it during our interview. And we've got the rigatoni with cavolo nero and olive oil from Ruthie Rogers' River Cafe 30 cookbook. She and I talked about the recipe when she was on the show last week. That's the recipe that she says is most definitely not kale pesto, even though that's what I love to call it. We also have some special content for our paid subscribers, like the Sama Dada cover story from our next issue. Check it out at cherrybombe.substack.com. The link is in our show notes. Now, let's check in with today's guest. Ham El-Waylly, welcome to Radio Cherry Bombe.
Thanks for having me.
You're a first timer on the show. So exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. This is a beautiful recording studio.
It is an amazing recording studio, and it's called Newsstand Studios, literally an old newsstand. But one of my favorite parts is the tourists will walk by. A lot of tourists go here, and they will just start photographing you and recording you.
Oh.
And just wave.
Do they tap on the glass like we're zoo animals?
You know what? No one's tapped on the glass, but people have tried to come in here in the middle of a recording. Yes. Joe, the king of Newsstand Studios, loves that when people just walk in the middle of something. Anyway, Ham, it's so good to see you. And I want to say thank you because last month you were part of our Galentine's Day and Valentine's Day celebration. And you were on a panel called Boys We Love. And I was not sure if you were going to say yes or not.
Oh, really? Oh.
Some guys might think that's being objectified.
No, I'm always happy to be a part of a panel, especially one with Cherry Bombe, who I'm such a big fan of.
Thanks. And you're with Wolde Reyes and Peter Som, who we love so much. And you wore pink again. Did you wear pink for us on purpose?
I did. Pink is actually one of my favorite colors. I think it pops really nicely. It matches my eyes.
I didn't know pink's one of your favorite colors. I do know, and you pointed this out, that you pretty much dress exclusively in merch.
I do. And now recently I have my own merch with the book and with the restaurant. So it just makes dressing up super, super easy.
You are repping Strange Delight today. You have a Strange Delight hat on. And that,
I do.
Of course, is your restaurant. People genuinely love you. So we had to ask you to be part of that panel. So thank you for saying yes. Another thing we love, you are a girl dad. How is your baby?
She is amazing. I can easily say that it is my favorite job that I've ever had. It's so fulfilling and exciting, and seeing every stage from baby to toddler, which is where she is now, is wild. You almost see the consciousness kind of turn on one day, and you're like, oh, you are a person with a personality and desires and wants and likes. And she's starting to talk about her favorite things now, which is one of my favorite things.
Oh my gosh, what are her favorite things?
So she loves yellow, bananas, also yellow. She's really into The Lion King, but just the soundtrack. She just likes to listen to it. Of course, like many other toddlers, she loves Miss Rachel a little bit too much, so we have to dose it.
Who's Miss Rachel?
Oh, Miss Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have kids. I have cats, so.
You just have cats. Cats will enjoy Miss Rachel.
One pad.
Miss Rachel is kind of the modern day Mr. Rogers. So she always dresses up the same way. She's in like overalls and a striped shirt or a pink shirt. And then she sings songs and talks about things like having feelings are okay and we can do hard things, like just great messaging for kids. And she's just an all around great human being. We're big fans of Miss Rachel.
Good to know. I need to look into this Miss Rachel. I wonder if she cooks.
Ooh, I do wonder if she cooks.
Maybe you need to cook with Miss Rachel.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That would impress your daughter.
That would. My goal is, so she loves two things. She loves Miss Rachel and Lady Gaga. So my goal is to one day facilitate some kind of meeting because that would blow her mind.
What is she eating these days?
She eats a little bit of everything, which is great. She's not necessarily a super picky eater. But what she is picky about, there are either days where she eats everything or days where she doesn't really want to eat. So she loves broccoli puree. I made some gumbo the other night, and I wasn't sure if she'd be into it because like gumbo has a little bit of a kick to it. Ladled on top of rice, crushed it, loved it. So it's like, oh, okay. So we're kind of testing the boundaries of spice with her right now, like how much spice she can take, and she's got pretty good tolerance.
How has being a dad changed how you cook at home?
It's completely changed the way I cook. At first, like when it was just for Sohla and myself, we went all out. We didn't really put a lot of thought of how difficult a certain recipe would be or the ingredients or how long it would take to cook. We cooked for fun. But now we're cooking out of necessity because she needs a certain number of meals at a certain time, and it needs to be nutritious. It needs to hit all the food groups. It needs to have fiber and vitamins and protein and carbs. We put a lot more thought into what we're feeding her, and because of that, we kind of simplify things a lot. So we try and make sure that, we're cooking for a family.
Want to talk about your own childhood? You had a tough childhood, which I didn't realize. You had some health issues. Looking back, do you think that's going to impact how you are as a dad as she gets older? Definitely.
I got diagnosed with ITP when I was around 6 or 7 years old, and that carried on until I was around 14. It was actually puberty that knocked me out of it. So it just magically fixed it because I've had surgeries and tried a bunch of different medical treatments and none of them really worked until that. So I spent a lot of my childhood in hospitals. There was a medical course that I had to take that took a long time. So it was like a 5-day course and it was 6 hours a day. So I couldn't really go to school. So I spent a lot of time in hospitals.
That's really rough.
Yeah, I became really comfortable in hospitals. So like the nurses became my friends because I would have the same nurses year in, year out. And I kind of grew up with them. So they kind of became my community. Whenever we have to go to the doctor, that's when those instincts kick in. And I'm like kind of the doctor lead. So I became very, very comfortable in that environment. But it made me really treasure a childhood just because I couldn't do certain things. So like ITP means that my body was attacking my own platelets. So I would bruise easily. If I cut myself, I would bleed for a while. So I had to be very careful. I couldn't roughhouse. I couldn't do a lot of the things that kids that age would naturally do. I really want her to enjoy being a kid. Like we roughhouse a lot. She really, really likes it. I let her like run around and jump off things and do things that I never had a chance to do. And I think it's a really good thing for kids to know their limits. It's okay if she like trips and falls and skins her knee. Like it's like you can get back up, dust it off. It'll be okay. But we're always there to make sure she doesn't get too hurt. So it's like there's a limit. But definitely giving her the freedom to try things. And we let her play with a butter knife because it's not too dull. But it's like we're there guiding
play
her.
With a butter knife.
She loves the butter knife. She loves cutting her Play-Doh to make cookies with her butter knife. She's becoming quite the chef.
This is how it starts.
Yeah.
Well, how did you become quite the chef? You got into cooking shows and food pretty heavily as a kid.
I did. Also, even as a kid, I refused to eat hospital food. I refused. So I went hungry a lot just because it's like I'm not eating hospital food. So growing up,
standards even when you were little.
Oh yeah. When I was growing up, in Doha we had one channel for a long time.
That's right. We should say you grew up in Doha.
That's right. I grew up in Doha, Qatar. My dad's Egyptian, my mom's Bolivian. They met in D.C. and then moved to Doha, Qatar, which is where I was born and my sister was born. And I lived there until I was 19 before I moved here. So there was one government channel for a long portion of my life. They eventually got cable and that changed. But for a big part of my early life, there was this one government channel, and it started at 10 in the morning and then they shut it down at 8 at night. So the programming was very, very specific and carefully curated. So I watched a lot of MacGyver, a lot of Murder, She Wrote, and my favorite show was Yan Can Cook. For some reason, Yan Can Cook made it over there, and it was my favorite show. Like, I could not miss an episode. I loved how technical he was with the cleaver and how effortless he made cooking seem. And then I knew, like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. I don't just want to be able to cook. I want to be able to cook this well. I want people to see me break down a chicken and be like, oh, he's really good at that. Like, that was my goal. And that was the kind of the beginning of it. And of course, my dad was in food, so I grew up around a lot of it. He started as a manager of a grocery store, then that grew to 2 grocery stores, and then that eventually grew into a restaurant franchise that he started. It's a Mongolian grill franchise that he came over here one summer, checked out a Mongolian grill somewhere, was like, oh, this grilled meat, grilled vegetable, this will work in a Middle Eastern environment because these are flavors and techniques that everyone understands. And he was right. It did really well. And so I grew up around him testing all these things at home. That's why my favorite part of the cooking process is the R&D portion, just that beginning process where you're ideating and you're thinking of what you want to make. You're making different versions. You're tweaking it like that. That is my favorite part of the whole cooking process.
So all of this that you just mentioned, the Yan Can Cook, MacGyver, and the Murder, She Wrote, it all makes sense now. And the Mongolian barbecue, because you cook a lot of meat. If you watch your videos, meat makes an appearance a lot. Didn't help that your freezer broke a few weeks ago and you guys had to cook literally all the meat in your freezer. But I can see like little pieces of Murder, She Wrote. That's the R&D. The MacGyver, I don't know. You're always doing interesting things and just pulling things out of thin air sometimes when you're cooking at home. You know, the Yan Can Cook. Obviously, there you go. So be careful what you let your kids watch. Thank God your kid is watching Miss Rachel. We'll be right back with today's guest. I would love for all of you to check out She's My Cherry Pie, the baking show from the Cherry Bombe Podcast Network. Each week, host Jessie Sheehan talks to some of the most talented bakers, chefs, and pastry chefs around. They do a deep dive into one of the guest's signature bakes and share the tips and tricks you need to make it at home. This past weekend, Jessie interviewed Kalu Henry, who so many of you know and love, about pizza. Yes, pizza is a baked good. And the week before, Jessie talked to scone queen Danielle Sepsi. New episodes drop on Saturday mornings. They are such a soothing listen, and Jessie and the guests are so interesting. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. You moved to the U.S., and I want to talk about your mom, and I'm so sorry. You lost your mom when you were young, and pretty soon after you moved to the U.S. You said something really beautiful about her in your acknowledgments. You talked about all the great meals that she made, and you wished you could have thanked her for them.
Well, she was a big part of her community. She was like the kind one who liked helping other people. Like if someone needed someone to watch their kid, if someone needed help with a bake sale, if someone needed if they were sick and needed someone to bring over some food to help feed their family, she was the person that everyone called. And she really liked cooking as a way to show that she cared and a way to connect with her community back in Doha and also her community back home. So she cooked all different kinds of food. She wasn't really tied to only making a handful of dishes that was in her repertoire. She constantly was looking for new cuisines to try, new dishes to try. And whenever she met someone new and wanted to make a new friend, first thing would be like, oh, what do you make at home? What's your favorite thing to make at home? Give me that recipe. Let me try it out. And she used that as a way to connect with people. And it's the same way I started to use food as well, because when I first moved here, I didn't know anyone. I was completely alone. And cooking for people was how I connected with them. So my first Thanksgiving here, I made a Thanksgiving dinner, invited people in AmeriCorps that I was working with. And because of that, we kind of forged this friendship that we still hold today. Like they still talk about that Thanksgiving dinner because it's not something, I guess, that they had experienced before. Like Thanksgiving is very much a family-based holiday here. So to have like this new guy just come and be like, hey, just come to my apartment. I'll make some Thanksgiving dinner. Let's share this together was really special and really fun.
Were you like a typical teenager though? You didn't realize like how good you had it?
I did not. And that's one of my biggest regrets is like I was at the phase when you're really shitty to your parents. Like that's just the age. You don't appreciate all the work that goes into everything that my mom and like most moms do. Like you just don't. And hopefully as you get older and you start doing it yourself, you can turn to them and be like, wow, this is hard. You put in so much work. This takes so much time and you have to do it every single day. There's no days off. And I never got a chance to do that. And that's a little sad, but I'm hoping that by honoring her in this book, that kind of makes up for some of that.
Mm-hmm. I am sorry you lost her. I think you were only 19 when your mom passed away.
Yeah.
I won't tell the story. You talk about her notebook in the intro. It's such a beautiful and even quirky story. Yeah. When you said what the notebook was, I was like, wait, the religious figure or the other thing? So I don't want to spoil it. It's a beautifully written intro. Why'd you want to move to the U.S.?
I wanted to get into the culinary scene, but specifically I wanted to get into fine dining. There weren't a lot of options for that in Doha. So I knew that I wanted to move to the U.S. I knew that I wanted to go to the CIA because I've read so much about it. It was, everyone sells it to you as like, it's the Harvard of cooking schools. It's like the top cooking school. It's like you go there, you magically know everything about cooking, and then you can open a restaurant, then you'll get 3 Michelin stars. And so that was kind of the path I envisioned myself in. And that's the direction I wanted to go in.
And why fine dining? That's been kind of a motif through a lot of your career. You were super into fine dining, worked in lots of fine dining places. What was it about that?
There's something about when you're younger and an aspiring chef and you're a cook, there's a prestige behind fine dining that I was immediately drawn to. And also there's an attention to detail. There's just insane work. There's so much pressure. And I wanted all of that. I wanted to at least forge the beginnings of my career in fine dining to set that base. And then whatever direction I go in afterwards, it'll be okay because I have that strong base. And I think that's like it's a good place for a lot of aspiring cooks and chefs to start, just because it's not about the recipes that you learn in these places. It's about the habits. You learn how to work really organized, really clean, how to taste everything. And it's just about setting an early standard for yourself, using that as a blueprint for whichever direction you want to go in.
One of the interviews I listened to that you gave, you talked about going to the restaurant early to even watch how they would unpack the deliveries and break down the boxes. And I thought that was so interesting because it's just that level to detail, that it's all that attention to detail, I think, that informs so much of who you are today.
There's beauty in the mundane. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. There's a way to do it really, really well, just really organized. And something as simple as breaking down a box, stacking them, and then tying it together with twine. That was a skill that took me a while to get, because you can look down the streets of New York City and you can tell, like, there's some restaurants that just have cardboard boxes all over the place with loose twine. And then there's some restaurants where you look outside and they look like Christmas presents.
Yeah, you want to eat in those restaurants.
Exactly. Those are the restaurants you want to eat in.
Or work
at. Because that tells you that, oh, they care. Like, that's an attention to detail that you don't really see a lot. Those were the places I wanted to learn at and work in.
I had zero appreciation for that until I had a restaurant. And then you're walking down Smith Street and it's like, damn, look at how they tied up their boxes. That is hot.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So you meet Sohla in culinary school. We love Sohla here at Cherry Bombe. You know that. She's one of our cover stars. We have a weird relationship with your child. Sohla was pregnant on the cover, so I feel like we've had a relationship with this kid before she was even born. How did you two meet in culinary school? I think that's the cutest thing ever.
So we met in culinary school. We were placed together in every class. Every class, we were paired up in every group project. She was not the biggest fan of me right off the bat, so it took me a minute to win her over. I was immediately enamored.
It was love at first sight.
It was.
Oh, I love this.
And it's our first group project was about Heston Blumenthal, who's this really well-known chef back in the day. He has this popular restaurant called the Fat Duck in London. It's got 3 stars, and he was one of the pioneers of modern cooking. And
beloved by food nerds everywhere.
No one knew who he was. You got like some options to pick of which chef you wanted to do this group project on. And then I was mostly interested in Heston Blumenthal. And the only other person interested in Heston Blumenthal was Sohla. And that really that solidified. It's like, okay, you can't deny this power. There's something here. There's something here. And that was kind of the beginning of our friendship. And then that eventually blossomed into a marriage.
Did she know you were smitten instantly?
No, she did not. I told her after, but she did not. She didn't. I don't think she even thought of me as a friend in the beginning. It was kind of like,
what did it take? How did you win her over?
Just good conversation, make her laugh, be a good friend, support. And then eventually it grew into more.
And here we are. All these years later. There's so much I could ask you, but we have to get to this cookbook. You guys had a restaurant together. That is a whole chapter we could do a whole episode on. But want to jump ahead to the book. You are such a natural teacher. Anybody who watches your videos, that comes across loud and clear. So I'm so thrilled that you have this book. It's called Hello Home Cooking, Doable Dishes for Every Day. Why did you want to do a book about home cooking? For so long you were Mr. Fine Dining.
I wanted to write a book that people actually could cook out of. Again, bringing back the connection of cooking. And I wanted people to really connect with my story and my dishes and the recipes that I was trying to share. And the best way to do that is to make recipes that people can make at home and share with their families or themselves or their loved ones. And so I really wanted to lean into that. And I also think that there's a big gap missing in home cooking. You either have books that try and teach something super traditional from a different culture, amazing, or you have people leaning into new versions of classic home cooking as well, also amazing. I feel like there's this missing in between where you kind of fuse the two. And that was naturally how I grew up eating. Like they always tell you, write the book that only you can write. And I think that this is that book because it combines all of my experiences, both from childhood and professionally, through this lens of American home cooking. That's what I wanted to share is that you don't need to go to a specialty store to cook something different. You don't need to order a bunch of things online. You don't need to spend 6 hours a day just to try something new. You can still make an interesting, new, comforting home meal with your local grocery store and 45 minutes of your time. And that's the message I wanted to convey is it's not hard or foreign to try something new. Just give it a go.
It's so cool that you said, write the book that only you can write. I think that's great advice, not just for aspiring cookbook authors, but for so many things. A lot of times when I'm editing copy from some of our younger writers, I'll say that sentence could apply to anything.
Yeah.
So you got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like what is a sentence that can only apply to this person, place, restaurant, product, whatever. So yeah, so that's good. It really is only a book that you could write. And I think that's such a great thing about the cookbook scene right now. There are a lot of books that have come out that are so unique and personal to the author. Our friend Padma Lakshmi is coming on the show later to talk about her new culinary show. Padma's all-American. Literally, she's the only person who could have written that book.
Exactly.
I think you're friends with Ella Quittner.
Yep.
Also, her book, Obsessed with the Best, just came out. Did I see a picture of her in your cookbook?
Yeah.
I saw the profile. I was like, I think that's Ella Quittner. I mean, who the heck could have written that book except
exactly.
her? Yeah.
And it is I love that book especially because you can feel her personality. Like it feels like you're hanging out with her, you're talking to her. And I like that for so long, cookbooks were kind of devoid of personality. I love that we're seeing.
You could argue some still are, but you're nicer than me. So go ahead.
I'm loving to see just like more personality in cookbooks. People are taking more risks. Like Tanya Bush came out with her narrative cookbook, which could easily be like a season of girls.
Exactly. Tanya, who a lot of you know and love from Cake Scene.
I like seeing more books like that because a cookbook that you want to sit down and read and cook out of, I think that's something that's really special.
Yeah. And sometimes with home cooking, there's such a push to kind of dumb it down.
Yeah.
I hate to even use that term, but it is. It's like the recipe has to fit on one page.
Yep.
Can't have more than this number of ingredients. And I'm happy to see that we're getting away from that.
It is really nice.
The internet is filled with simple recipes.
Well, I feel like that's what's scary. It feels like for a while, publishers were using what was doing well on social as a way to dictate what would do well in cookbooks. And that means it needs to take 20 minutes to make. You can only use 5 ingredients. You can't sear that long because people are scared of high heat. You can't use that much oil. People will never use more than half a teaspoon of oil. And once you start adding all of these limitations, you just end up with like a book that could have been written by AI. by stripping that away is like, no, you do what you want and there will be an audience behind it. And I feel like that's hopefully the direction we're going in.
Mm-hmm. You know what upset me when we did the Cherry Bombe cookbook? I wasn't allowed to put water as an ingredient.
That drives me crazy.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably listening thinking, you two are such weirdos. But I want to know how much water.
I agree. I believe the same thing. They didn't let me do that either.
No. Well, we have the same, same publisher.
In the same boat. So it's like, no, I like to know. I hate having to read the the instructions or the procedure to know if there's water or an extra ingredient, because I'm very much someone who likes to have my mise en place ready. So I'll read my ingredient list, I'll measure everything out, and then I'll continue with the recipe. So if I'm reading something, they're like, what? I need 2 cups of water, but I'm all set up. You've thrown my flow off.
You use the measuring cup for something else.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you and I are going to storm the Random House building, and we're going to get them to let all future cookbook authors use water as an ingredient. Let's talk about some of the recipes. I mean, there are so many great ones that we could talk about. But I was curious, what one is the best gateway recipe? What will unlock the world of ham for everybody?
Well, for me, when I was developing a lot of the recipes for this book, I looked at old childhood photos. I started watching shows that I watched at around that age because I really wanted to put myself in a nostalgic kind of mindset, because that's what I wanted the book to feel like, the recipes to feel like. I wanted a lot of comfort and nostalgia. My mom studied in Brazil for a long time. She speaks Portuguese and was a big part of that Brazilian community. In Doha, there weren't a lot of non-Brazilian Latin people there. There just wasn't at the time. But there was a large Brazilian community because they would hire Brazilian soccer coaches to run their local soccer teams. And my mom found herself in that community, and that's like a big part of the community that I grew up around. So I would go to Brazilian parties multiple times a week. We ate a lot of Brazilian food out. And so Brazilian parties, there are 2 things that you'll always find. Brigadeiros, which a lot of people are familiar with. They're the chocolate truffly things rolled in chocolate sprinkles. And my personal favorite, the less-known cousin of the brigadeiro, beijinho, which means a little kiss. It's like a condensed milk fudge that's also rolled into a ball, rolled in coconut flakes, and then has a clove stuck into it. Delicious, amazing. I would crush them by the handful. And that meant community, party, joy, like every birthday had them, every gathering had them. And so I wanted to turn that into a Swiss roll. But I wanted the same textures, I wanted to feel that same joy I felt as a kid when I bit into one. And when we nailed that recipe and I took a bite, and then I immediately felt like a kid at a Brazilian party just by the table shoveling beijinhos in my face. I knew it's like, wow, this is perfect. I really nailed it. And I was so proud of it. I feel like if they made this cake in Brazil, it would become a staple. It would become a staple.
The national cake of Brazil.
It would become the national cake of Brazil.
Weirder things have happened. Yeah. So let's manifest that. That one sounds amazing. So jump right to the desserts. Which recipe do you think will be the most popular?
There's a potentially viral thing in there. Like there are times where you develop things, you're like, oh, I think people will really enjoy this. But when I developed the date fudge and I made it and I tasted it, I'm like, oh, when this makes it online, I feel like this is going to take off because it's so easy. It just needs a handful of ingredients and has no sugar, no added sugar. It's just sweetened with dates. So it's based on this dessert that you have throughout the Gulf, the Persian Gulf during Ramadan. It's a date fudge type thing that's thickened with toasted flour. And it has rose water and nuts on it. But I took that and turned it into something that tasted exactly like raw chocolate chip cookie dough. Everyone's like one of my favorite snacks.
Speaking my love language.
So
cookie dough.
I added brown butter, a lot of vanilla, toasted whole wheat flour, and then blitzed that with the dates and then folded in some chocolate chips into that. Oh, man, let me tell you, it is amazing. The first time we made it, I think Sohla and I ate a pound of it in one sitting. It is very addictive. So I feel like if people will make that at home one time, and I don't think they will ever have a freezer without a log of the date fudge.
That's going to be the first thing I make. One of my favorite things to do is go to LA and go to one of the farmers markets and go find the date guy and buy all the dates. When Barhi dates are in season, that is my favorite time of the year. But you get so spoiled by their dates.
Yeah.
Where do you guys find good dates here in in New York?
We buy them from California.
You buy them.
We get the Rancho Meladuco dates from California.
Rancho Meladuco has fantastic dates.
They're so good.
Yes.
That was when I first moved here.
And you can find them here in New York now.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, I usually get them online.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good to know. Dates were one of the things I really miss because I grew up in the land of dates, so I had access to amazing dates.
Oh.
And then when I first moved here, it's like, oh, there are dates here, and they were so dry. Dates here used to be
rocks.
so dry and sad, and it's like, oh no, these are not dates. And then I stopped eating dates for a long time. But now there's like this resurgence of fantastic dates coming out of mostly California. I think Rancho Meladuco also has different varieties of dates. There's like this fresh date that they have when it's in season. It's a bit of an acquired taste, but I think it's amazing that it's just accessible now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and female-founded company. So,
ooh, I did not know that.
Multiple reasons to love them. Let's talk about one more recipe. Which is the most you?
There's a tahini and silken tofu dip in the book that I feel like really encapsulates my cooking style and the message of the book. Growing up, it's weird to say, I was not the biggest fan of tahini. Like as a kid, I thought it was a little bit too bitter. It took me a while to kind of warm up to the flavor, which is tough because tahini finds its way into so many dishes. It takes something that I grew up eating and just meshes it with something that you can find in every grocery store, silken tofu. And it's a super simple process. It's tahini, silken tofu in a food processor. You season up with some lemon and salt. And what you get is this incredibly silky tahini sauce. And the tofu doesn't overpower the tahini, but what it does, it rounds up some of that bitter edge. So you just get this lovely, nutty, luscious dip that you can also use as a replacement for mayo. You could use in your sandwiches. There's so many different applications for it. And all it is just 2 ingredients that you can easily find. And that, I think, is a lot of how I cook these days personally at home and how I want people to take away from this book.
Very cool. Did I read that you and Sohla are such maniacs that when you had your restaurant, you would make tofu to order?
That was correct. That is one of the things that we were wild. We were still young and at our peak of ambition. So like at that point, you're like, this is what I've learned in my career. I have to show everyone everything I have learned with everything I can do. So making silken tofu to order, and we would garnish it with a little barley syrup and some caviar or sea urchin. So it was a really nice luxe bite, but
I'd love that right now.
Yeah, that's a great breakfast. Yeah, that's one of the many ridiculous things that we did at our restaurant.
Now, not only are you a cookbook author, but you are back in the restaurant business. You have Strange Delight in Brooklyn. Tell folks about the restaurant.
The restaurant is a love letter to both New Orleans oyster culture and New York oyster culture. We wanted to create a place that was welcoming. A lot of places in New York, you think oyster bar, and immediately your mind goes to some place like bougie and inaccessible price-wise. So we wanted to kind of strip that away and borrow from a lot of New Orleans oyster culture, because oyster bars in New Orleans are for everybody. And that's the feeling we wanted to create here. So we use a lot of local ingredients with New Orleans technique or inspiration, and we want it to feel like this natural blend between the two.
Have you been to New Orleans a lot? Is
Yes.
it a place you have an affinity for?
I do. I've always been enamored of New Orleans culture in general, but specifically the food culture, because it is so uniquely American. It is exactly what people say America is, this melting pot of cultures that seamlessly blends together into this incredible, delicious thing. And I love how protective they are of their cuisine as well, and how proud. It's so unique, and the identity is so strong that it's impossible to not get swept up in it and just like fall in love with it.
It really is our most unique American city.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I know it's not easy for everybody to travel, but if you can get yourself to New Orleans, it's worth the trip.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you going to celebrate the cookbook at Strange Delight? You have so many great collabs and pop-ups with all these other people.
I will. There will be a preview dinner at Strange Delight with kind of restaurant versions of a lot of the dishes in the book coming up. I'm going to announce that soon.
Will you have signed copies of the book to buy at the restaurant?
Yes, we will.
You know why I asked that? Because I went to Rich Table in San Francisco, and they have a little side thing on their menu that has things you can buy to go, like special kinds of butter and other things that they make. And then they have signed copies of their cookbook, and they list it on the menu.
That is smart. Well, people don't know that they have a cookbook.
Right.
People don't. It's a great way.
You don't have an about section for your restaurant on your website.
Ooh, I don't?
No.
Oh,
I mean, if you do, I missed it.
I should do that.
But I couldn't find it. But I was like, why are they being so secretive about who they are? People want to know.
Oh, we should do that. We'll add that in.
Anyway, we could look later and you could be like, no, dummy, it's right there. Maybe I completely missed it. Okay, let's do a speed round. What beverage do you start the day with?
Seltzer.
Seltzer. We need to ring a bell. This is a cherry bomb first.
No way.
Seltzer. I don't know anybody else who starts the day with seltzer. No one has had the balls to say Diet Coke when they come on the show, because a lot of people start their day with Diet Coke. But
I think most people. I think you got a lot of people lying, saying that they're not starting their day with Diet Coke. Yeah, seltzer. I have an unhealthy obsession with seltzer. I almost exclusively drink seltzer. I go through probably 2 to 3 liters of seltzer a day.
Do you have one of those, what do they call those machines?
The Soda Streams?
Yeah.
I used to, but then it broke. So now I'm all Canada Dry.
Okay.
I just got 2-liter bottles of Canada Dry. It is a great way to start your day. It's a great way to keep your energy going throughout the day. And there's no better way to go to sleep than a nice glass of seltzer.
If anyone has a connection to Canada Dry, I'm a sponsorship. This is such a first. Seltzer. I had no idea. Okay. I mean, I grew up in New York City, so my dad would take us to Paul's Sweet Shop to have an egg cream.
Ooh, yes.
And so many kids don't know about egg creams today.
They don't. I love an egg cream.
Yeah.
We made egg creams at Hail Mary. And Brooklyn Seltzer Boys?
No.
Oh,
no.
you have to check them out.
If they were Brooklyn Seltzer girls, I would know them. But Brooklyn Seltzer Boys, no. Sorry, guys.
It's this old business, and they use the actual old vintage seltzer bottles. And it's, for me, the gauge of a good seltzer is how much it burns when you drink it. You want that bubble. You want it to hurt. You want to feel it in your brain. You want to feel it in your nostrils. And their seltzer, it's like you're drinking hot soup, and I love it. It burns so good.
What's always in your fridge?
Labna. Always. It's great for breakfast, great for dinner. You could mix it to make a dip. You can use it as a sauce.
Pairs beautifully with seltzer.
You can make a little labna cream. It's perfect.
What was your favorite food as a kid?
Chicken shawarma. It's the same favorite food as I have today.
What is your favorite snack food today?
Bugles. Nacho cheese flavor.
Okay, nacho cheese flavor. What is your favorite food film?
Everyone says Ratatouille. It is an amazing, amazing food film. But I also like Jon Favreau's Chef. I think it is done with a lot of care. And the first time I saw it, I lied to myself and told myself I didn't like it just because it hit a little bit too close to home. But I think there are a lot of little notes that he makes in that movie that are so accurate. His description of what a molten lava cake is, about how it's not just undercooked cake, and it's a cylinder of frozen ganache set into a cake and then baked until the outside is crisp and the inside is molten. A lot of chefs don't know that. So Michel Bras is the first one who made this chocolate coulant, and then a lot of other people simplified it to make it easier to replicate, which is where you get the underbaked molten cake from. That original Michel Bras chocolate coulant, that he knew that and referenced that in the movie. I'm like, ooh, this guy did his homework. The movie's funny. It's great.
Oh, I need to watch it again.
Oh, it's great. Only unbelievable part: Scarlett Johansson, Jon Favreau. Come on, that.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Girls like funny guys.
That's true. That's true. Talented ones too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's how I got married.
All right. Dream travel destination.
Ooh, Japan. Never been to Japan. I don't even need to pick a city, really anywhere in Japan. I would love to just check it out. The cities seem so lively. The attention to detail in just everything is something that I would love to see for myself.
Same, top of my list too. Do you have a motto or a mantra?
So I am maybe revealing too much, but I have, like most people, have an inner voice that is not the nicest to myself. So it's like, it's a subconscious way to kind of motivate myself and just to get myself going. But it's like, sometimes it can get a little bit too mean and can hinder you in a way. So I try and start my day by telling myself that you are not a loser. Today you will win. So that's kind of a nice way to start the day.
Isn't there something going around social media where you're supposed to like talk about how lucky you are? Like, I am the luckiest person. I am so lucky. Good things happen to me all the time. I was watching some video like that and I was like, do I need to start to say this to myself?
We all need
every
to be
day?
kinder to ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. If you had to be trapped on a desert island with one food celebrity, who would it be and why? It can't be Sohla.
Can't be Sohla. It's weird because I don't think of Sohla as a food celebrity which is surprising because I know everyone else does.
You're both food celebrities.
But it's like, she's Sohla. It would have to be Martha Stewart. It would have to be Martha Stewart. She is such an icon and someone I deeply respect because she brings home cooking and grace and class, but also standards to everything she does. And fun story, I was the CDC of a Mexican restaurant in the West Village. We catered a Cinco de Mayo party for her one time. And we were super, super busy. And we dropped off what she had ordered. And then we get a call saying that we need more tortilla chips. The tablescape doesn't look plentiful enough. I'm like, oh, absolutely, Martha. And I ended up making 2 to 3 more trips of tortilla chips until she had enough where she was happy with the tablescape. And then at the end of all that, her assistant came out, grabbed me, and was like, come here. Martha would like to meet you. I'm like, oh, wait. And then my heart dropped. I was nervous. My palms were sweaty. And then I go in. The double doors open. It's like something out of a movie. And then we're in this beautiful mahogany office. She's sitting in the back of the room in this large padded chair, just sitting there, all in the back, looking so majestic and so regal. And then they bring me over to her, and then she looks at me, thanks me very much for everything I did, and says she really appreciates. I'm like, wow, you don't need to. You're Martha Stewart. You don't need to do this. And so it was really nice because a lot of the times when you do these large catering jobs, you don't really get any acknowledgement of the work you do. So it really meant a lot that she took the time to just say thank you, which seems like such a small thing, but is so rare. And then she gave me a signed book of hers. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. You are a class act and you really know how to welcome people into your home. I was already a huge Martha Stewart fan before. Since then, it's like I am Team Martha all the way.
You and Martha on the island.
Yeah.
No shortage of tortilla chips.
No shortage.
But there might not be any Canada Dry, so what are you going to do?
She'll figure out a way to carbonate some ocean water.
As soon as that came out of my mouth, I was like, Martha's going to figure out a way.
And
you too.
Yeah, we'll MacGyver it somehow.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time. This book is delightful, as are you. And I just hope the whole world falls in love with it.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for today's show. Don't forget, Jubilee 2026 tickets are on sale right now, and you can apply for the Business Owner Pass if you happen to own a restaurant, cafe, bakery, or other hospitality business. That link is in our show notes. Our theme song is by the band Cha La La. Joseph Hazen is a studio engineer for Newsstand Studios. Our producers are Catherine Baker and Jenna Sadu. Our executive assistant is Bridget Pittman. And our head of partnerships is Rachel Close. Thanks for listening, everybody. You're the bomb.